Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be part 2 for December 22nd. The Reborn Roman Empire makes moves in the Middle East. Now, if you'd like, you can go to my website, www.DiMoraMinistry.com. And once you're there, you're going to see the front and the back cover of my book. And when you get to that picture where you see the front and the back cover of the book, it's going to look like this, just like the card there. Right below it is a link. Click to the link and it'll take you right to all the information in my book. And it's updated as of December 1st, 2010. You can get it absolutely free. Now, what I'd like to do is continue on this process of what's happening with the European Union, because they are the revived Roman Empire. And in my last video that you just saw, I showed you that the European Union is making moves in the Middle East, which are very important and run parallel to what the Bible has to say. I showed you that Great Britain, France, and Germany are among the top nations in the European Union, and everybody in the European Union knows this. And I'm also showed you in the last video that the European Union is making bids to give the Palestinians their own homeland, and there's 10 European Union nations, according to what this article from December 15th, which I showed you in the previous video. But you can see it there. If you wanted to freeze it, you can actually see who those nations are. And there's 10 nations right there that talk about recognizing the Palestinian state. Now, there's something else that I would like to bring to your attention, and I don't have a copy of this, but this is pretty important. And when you scroll down, you're going to see some pictures of what the ministry is doing in Kenya. They have my book in Kenya, and they've taken this book and they've made a crusade in different parts of Kenya called the Last Chronicles Crusade. And it's a blessing to see my work is being used in that way, and it's bringing people into the kingdom for Jesus Christ. It's truly an honor to send my books to Kenya, and those people, the pastors there, are preaching in the streets and villages, bringing in people. They're receiving Jesus. And that is one of the goals of mine, is to reach out to other places and have the same thing happen. The information in this book is really powerful, and it's driving people to the Word of God. It's driving people to study the Bible and driving the people to Jesus, and that's the primary goal. Now, when you scroll down, you're going to see what is called a Recommendation 843 that came out of the European Union. And this has to do with the European Union, specifically the Western European Union, WEU, is a combination of 10 nations. And their job is for security and defense for the nation of the European Union nations, which there's 27 nations. And in 2011, in July of 2011, the Western European Union will hand away their power. Well, part of the power that they got through a recommendation of 666, what was brought out and developed by Java Solana, who was the head of this WEU, the Western European Union nation. Part of their job, and I know that when you hear this 666, the recommendation 666, it sends up antennas, because Revelation chapter 13 verses 16 through 17, it shows us that the number of the man will be 666. But part of the job is for the WEU to go out and to take care of problems. And when you look down in this article that I got from you, that's coming from the European Union, one of the first things on it it says on the European security and Middle East, it says, considering that the statement of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains an a absolute prerequisite for the establishment of peace and stability in the Middle East, and that under no circumstances should it be made contingent upon the solution first being found to the Iranian nuclear question. Then it starts going down and it names the different things of importance, but on the front burner there, they talk about the peace and stability in the Middle East, and how they have to look at this as being a primary problem. So one of the things that may happen, because I just showed you that the European Union, they're looking at 10 of those nations pressing for the European Union to recognize a Palestinian state. Now, what may happen is that before the WEU hands over their power in July of 2011, and considering that they're pushing now for a solution to the problem, there is the possibility that they may move in and try to force the Palestinian state on Israel. And this is something that we should be looking for in the near future, since if they only have 6 months left to take care of a problem, we see that some of the things that they already addressed, like Egypt getting involved in a peace process, which they already did. It's when you read the information on the 483 that came out of the European Union, it gets very detailed, and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So in a nutshell, they could be responsible, these 10 nations, for addressing the Palestinian problem of stability and peace. Again, Paul mentioned they will be calling for peace and safety in the last days, and then there will be an attack. So we see these things taking place with the European Union, the peace process that's breaking down in all of these other articles that show us that the European Union is very involved, and they're getting more involved. Now, we know for a fact that the European Union, if they are the revived Roman Empire, and it certainly looks like it because they're the same nations that used to be in the old Roman Empire, we know that in the near future, the Antichrist is going to rise up, and he will be the one who will actually confirm that covenant with many for 7 years. That would be one more period that hasn't been fulfilled yet of 7 years that God is going to be dealing with the nation Israel, the Jews, during that time period to fulfill all prophecy. Now, when you scroll down, I also want you to look at, I have some pictures that came out of Kenya that were delivered to me today, December 22nd of 2010. And these pictures of Pastor Titus and some of the other pastors and guards, the Kenyan guards from the jail, who set out to preach Jesus Christ using my book to try to win the people over, to push them to Christ and read the Bible. And I wanted to share these pictures with you because it is a blessing to me. And you can see, when you look at the pictures, when you scroll down, you can see the pictures of these people who are preaching Jesus Christ. You can see the peace and the joy on their face, and doing the ministry work in the field. And if you haven't been in the field, if you haven't shared your faith with people, you wouldn't know how it makes you feel, how it's so joyful to be able to share your faith with others. And I know for a lot of you it's scary that you don't feel comfortable doing that. And but there are people who love Jesus Christ, and it could be a couple words of encouragement. But share your testimony with people. Share Jesus Christ. Tell them, and especially in these days that are drawing to a close, and we know that Jesus Christ is coming. Now, in closing, I've said it before, but this may be your first time here at the YouTube. A lot of people have written me and asked, and they've told me, they said that, you talk about an earthquake or you talk about a major storm, but, that's been going on for, for thousands of years and the world has an end. So, it's no big deal. Now, I tell the people who say that to me, I would totally agree with you. But things are now different because Jesus in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, tells us, when you read that chapter, it says, when you shall see all these things, know that it's near, even at the door. And as a matter of fact, it goes on to say that this generation will not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now, since 1948, since the rebirth of Israel that took place on May 14th of 1948, we started to see all the signs that Jesus told us that we were going to see in the last days. As a matter of fact, Jesus in Mark 13:8 tells us how these signs would be coming on us. He says that it would be coming on us as birth pangs. So since 1948, the rebirth of Israel, we have seen many prophecies that didn't happen before that would show us that the end was not yet. But now that you have the rebirth of Israel, you have the rebirth of the Roman Empire, you have Russia sitting in place as a major player again, you have the declining of the United States, who isn't even mentioned in the book of Daniel as being a last days superpower. You have the 200 million soldiers from the east to China across the Euphrates River that is drying up for the first time. And both of those prophecies were not fulfilled yet. You have the major earthquakes, the major storms, the disturbances, the weird weather patterns. You have the crime. You just everything that he talked about in there. The characteristics of people, the reforming or the development of a one world church that's happening. And you can see that in my book. All of these things are happening in one single generation. And we know, according to what Jesus said in Matthew 24, our generation is not going to pass until you see all these things be fulfilled. This is the same generation who Daniel told that you would know that generation because they would increase in knowledge and they would be traveling back and forth. That is our generation. This is the same generation who Jesus told us in Revelation chapter 9:21 that generation would be known from a drug or as a drug generation. You see the word pharmakeia in the Greek, which is drugs, medicines, and when you get into it, you'll understand it's more than just a medicines. It's incarnations and spells and whatnot. Never before in anybody else's history did you see the development of a satanic church that was just openly people worshiping in a satanic church. I mean, things like these were in the closet. You see the movement as in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, in the days of Noah, where Jesus actually connects Sodom and Gomorrah with Noah's generation and shows us. Well, what happened then? It was the move, homosexuality was taking place then, and we see it taking place right now. And all of these things, one single generation. So yeah, is one earthquake, big deal? No. But when you see them all happening, and Jesus said, you will know, and when you see these things, you'll know that it's near, even at the doors. Well, let me tell you, it is at the doors. And there's only a few prophecies that haven't been fulfilled yet. We haven't seen the Psalm 83 war, and I believe that war is going to take place when we're seeing skirmishes again. More rockets were thrown into Israel this week, and there's going to be another battle, the Psalm 83 war, and I believe that that's going to happen when they're talking peace and safety, which was another sign of our last generation. Paul talked about that. He said when they're talking peace and safety, sudden destruction will come. All of these things. So please, in Christmas, what a birthday present you can give to Jesus. Even though he wasn't born on December 25th, he was born, we believe that when the shepherds were out in the field, would have been sometime around in September. So please, read the word of the Lord and give your life to Jesus Christ. He's waiting for you.